And we're live. Hey, everybody, this is Roberto Blake helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the Create Something Awesome Today podcast. I'm going to do what I usually do, which is we're going to be live for just a little bit to let this distribute out to all of the platforms. Then we'll roll the show intro so that my editor can take care of that in post. But I just want to say welcome to the live streaming audience. We're going to try to get back to doing these on Wednesday mornings. Occasionally I will have guests on the show. There's a lot of people who've been requesting to come on, and also I do have a great interview that I did with Gerald Undone, tech YouTuber extraordinaire, one of my favorite content creators. That's being edited. We've already shot the interview in December, so that's being edited as we speak, and that will be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, I see a couple of great people in the chat. I see Anwar, I see Stefan, I see a lot of you are starting to get in, so let's go ahead and roll the show intro. Eventually, I'm going to have a video intro made, but for now, let's just go ahead and cue up the audio for the show. And we're going to talk we're going to do it in under an hour. We're going to talk about everything I've learned along the way on my journey to 500,000 subscribers on the main YouTube channel. So that's coming up.
Are you an entrepreneur, creative pro, or in a transition to becoming one? Welcome to the Create Something Awesome Today podcast, where it's all about enabling you to develop the skills and mindset encouraging success and helping you to thrive with everything you do. And of course, helping you create something awesome today. And now your host, creative entrepreneur, and founder of Awesome Creator Academy, Roberto Blake.
And good morning. Welcome to the Create Something Awesome Today podcast. This is your host, Roberto Blake, helping you create something awesome today. I'm really excited for this episode. I have recently reached a milestone with the help of this amazing community. And at the end of 2020, I'm happy to say that my main YouTube channel, youtube.com/RobertoBlake2, reached the milestone of 500,000 subscribers. 500,000 subscribers. That's really crazy to think about. 500,000 people. There are countries that might not even have the population of 500,000 people, and it's a great community. So I really want to say, first of all, thank you so much for nearly 8 years of just this support and the community across over 1,500 videos, doing multiple different types of content and formats and genres over the years, and like hundreds of live streams on the channel, thousands of live streams across multiple platforms. And I just want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and even the fact that not everybody obviously who subscribes watches every video. There's like 1,500 pieces of content in my back catalog. That's a lot. So I have no expectations that everybody's supposed to watch or a certain percentage of people are supposed to watch. And what I want to do for the next 45 minutes or so is I want to talk to you about the truth about YouTube and everything I learned about being a content creator over these many years, and what my thoughts are on YouTube as it stands today, and what my own plans are. I want to just have a long form conversation with you guys for a bit, and I will probably take a few questions from the live viewing audience around this topic. But I'm just once again very thankful and very grateful. I'm also thankful and grateful to today's sponsor, which is my friends over at StreamYard. If you guys don't know, StreamYard is the simplest solution for live streaming. It's how I'm actually live streaming right now on my Facebook page, to my Facebook group, LinkedIn Live, the YouTube channel for the podcast, and to Twitter and Periscope. So if you are not using StreamYard, it is free. You can go robertoblake.com/go/StreamYard or use the link in the description. Thank you to our friends at StreamYard for sponsoring the show today. So moving right along, let's talk about YouTube. I know that a lot of people are very, very adamant about the fact that it's more difficult to grow on YouTube today than it was several years ago. I started doing content on a consistent weekly basis in summer of 2013. So a lot of people think that the information that I have for them isn't very relevant today sometimes when I talk to them about it, or, well, you're a big YouTuber, you don't understand the struggle. But what a lot of people may not realize is besides the podcast channel, I have other YouTube ventures and other YouTube channels that I run. I'm investing in other content creators, and I'm talking about some potential equity with them. I'm, involved with a lot of other content creators through my coaching business that have smaller channels. I have access to their data. I talk to small content creators every single day through my group coaching program, awesomecreatoracademy.com. So I know what it's like for small YouTubers because I talk to them every day. And because on my other channels, I myself am a smaller YouTube channel in those other channels. But there's a lot that I can definitely share with you that I've learned about YouTube and the experience of it. One of the first things I think I should tell you, though, is that being a content creator is a career decision, and it's also a lifestyle choice. And a lot of people don't tell you that. A lot of people treat it as a fun job or a paid hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that if you want to do this part-time. If you want to do this part-time, you're doing it for fun, you don't necessarily want to grow or do it full-time, that's perfectly fine and valid. The advice that I'm about to talk about isn't for you if that's your deal. But for those of you who are aspiring to be full-time content creators, those of you who are aspiring to be full-time YouTubers, then that's a horse of another color entirely. That's something very different. If you want to be a full-time YouTuber, if you want to be a full-time content creator, then you would have to move differently, and you have to make sure that YouTube is right size in your life. And I want you to say that again with me. You need to make YouTube right size in your life. Now, the problem that I see, and this is not any shade, any tea, or anything against any big YouTubers. I love and respect a lot of larger people in the community. I'm just using them kind of as an example here to make a larger point. The big content creators that everyone looks up to, people like, Mr. Beast or PewDiePie, for example, YouTube takes over their life. Now, the good news for them is they started young. They started young in a situation of very minimal risk, usually being early 20s, if not earlier teens, no kids, no spouse, not, having a lot of overhead in terms of responsibilities, mortgage, bills, all those things that happen, all the fun things in your 30s and 40s. Am I right? Am I right? So there's a different set of circumstances for most of the big YouTubers, because you'll notice there are very few YouTubers that are over 10 million subscribers that started YouTube in their 30s or their 40s. It's usually people who start YouTube in their teens or in their 20s. And the circumstances and risk and lifestyle of your teens or 20s are different than your mid to late 20s, early 30s, or God forbid, early 40s. So I think it's important to recognize that there's a different stage of life for a lot of people's careers. And if you start your career younger, you have a lot of advantages lifestyle-wise, and you can take a lot more risk. You have a lot more freedom. You have a lot more flexibility. You also have a different level of stamina and energy in a lot of cases. So if you guys are in the live audience, or if you're watching the replay right now, you want to hit me up in the comments or in the chat. Am I making sense here? Am I talking sense to a lot of you when I say that? It's very different. And so a lot of you, if you're looking to them, and not necessarily for advice, because I think they give a lot of great advice, but what I'm saying is, if you're looking to them as an example of what to do, you might be taking for granted that the way they do YouTube may not be the way that you should consider doing YouTube, because it's not even close in terms of your lifestyle capabilities when it comes to the choices and the options available to you, and what makes sense for your life. This is a massive, massive undertaking, and I just want to acknowledge that. And so when we talk about YouTube and being a content creator as a lifestyle, I think that one of the things that is taken for granted is that, let's say you're a Mr. Beast or a PewDiePie. You can devote an absurd amount of time to just YouTube because you're probably not competing with a 40-hour-a-week day job and then having responsibilities at home afterward and so on. In many cases, when they started, they were also single, so they didn't have to split their time and responsibility in terms of maintaining a healthy, balanced relationship. And then when they did get into relationships, they got into relationships with other content creators who would understand, which is also another part of the lifestyle choice sometimes. So you need an understanding partner, you need understanding family members. When it came to PewDiePie, his family cut him off financially. A lot of you don't realize it. His family cut him off financially when he decided to leave college, drop out of school, and do YouTube. They said they're not going to support his lifestyle. So he got a flexible, job that could take care of his means. And he did that. And he made it work. And he put everything into YouTube. And YouTube came first. He said for years, like he's been around for like almost a decade at this point. He said for years he didn't take a day off. He was uploading daily content and YouTube came first. Imagine going like 8, 9, 10 years without a day off. That's why he's the biggest YouTuber. And I'm not saying that's healthy or that you should do that. I don't think he recommends that for a lot of people. But he did it and he made a lifestyle choice. He enjoyed the work he was doing more, doing that in some ways than anything else he could have been doing. He, stopped pursuing a career in graphic design to do that. And he made his life revolve around YouTube. Now, I did not do that. I did not do that, but I'm making and illustrating a point here. He's significantly bigger. You'll notice that it's very difficult to cross the 1 million subscribe YouTube threshold without doing that. Many of you probably cannot name a YouTube content creator that doesn't make YouTube their number one priority that has over 1 million subscribers. Most of you cannot name a person with 1 million subscribers that is a part-time YouTuber. There are only 2 really great examples of people with over 1 million subscribers that I can identify as I would call them part-time YouTubers. That's David Lee, Dave2D, tech YouTuber. Actually, there's 3. Dave2D, who's a tech YouTuber, Scott Manley, who is a science and space YouTuber, and Ali Abdal, who is a doctor and a YouTube creator in the productivity space. Those are like the only 3 people with over 1 million subscribers that I can. Oh, wait, I have one more exception. Dr. Mike. But those are like, because he's still a doctor. But those are extremely, extremely rare exceptions of people who can do YouTube successfully and not put YouTube first. But I would also tell you that they have extremes in terms of that because of their specific knowledge and capabilities and the fact that their careers that they have in their day jobs require so much knowledge and so much discipline that they would always be someone who would be successful whether they did YouTube or something else. And they were successful. Someone brought up Janelle, the van life girl. Janelle is a full-time creator at this point, but she got into the position to where she blew up on YouTube. So she's kind of an exception, but she's kind of not, because now she doesn't do that other job anymore, to my knowledge. So there's exceptions to this rule, obviously, but it's very rare for someone to have 1 million subscribers and do YouTube part-time. And even people who have a day job, I'd argue that they do YouTube part-time, but they also are just not putting out a ton of videos per se. I'd still argue that these are the type of people who are putting 20 hours into one video still. So they don't have other hobbies. And that's the difference in many cases. But I digress. Those are people who are larger, and I'm making a comparison between the methodology and the path that the largest content creators go, which is be obsessed with YouTube, versus the path that I do and the path that I could recommend to some of you. especially if you're over 30. There's not a lot of YouTube advice for people who might be over 30 or people who might have other responsibilities. So, like, I would argue though, if you're running a business and or a YouTube channel or a venture and you're 30 and you're single, but you're doing multiple ventures, you might have a comparable level of priorities, even if they're different, to somebody who might have, okay, I'm doing this or that, but they have a family, right? So it just depends. I would say it's obviously going to be more challenging or more difficult in some ways if you have a family. The trade-off, though, is you might have more of a support system than somebody who's on their own. So somebody that's single, no spouse, no significant other, no kids, and they're doing either YouTube or entrepreneurship, they might have more time and less divided priorities per se, theoretically, but the trade-off is they don't have the extra support system emotionally or even another pair of hands or any help with managing the day-to-day until or unless they hire a team. So there's always trade-offs. So just keep that in mind. If you are younger, it's comparable to someone who might have more, like the more responsibilities or the more things you're doing when you're younger, it's comparable to someone who might have less of that but is older because of the stamina trade-off too. So there's, over time, there's some diminishing returns. So scale is important here. And I say all that to say this. My advantage in YouTube was my professional career. So I did YouTube, I think I was like maybe 28 or something, 28, 29. So I started doing YouTube at like almost like 30 or something. I'm like about to be 37 this year. So I was probably like 29, 28. So for me, I like, you might as well say I started YouTube at 30. Okay. Which means that I didn't have the early advantages of not having nearly as much responsibility, not having to make money, not doing whatever. So my version was I was a full-time freelancer, which means that I was making my money outside of YouTube to begin with. And I still make most of my money outside of YouTube today with things like awesomecreatoracademy.com or through my affiliate marketing or through other things in e-commerce or royalties and things of that nature, right? So with YouTube, though, that helped obviously scale my affiliate marketing, but now it's independent of that. The podcast is awesome, even though I need to do it more often. There's just like a lot that goes into it. So I'm a YouTuber who in AdSense revenue, in my AdSense revenue for 2020, I made $40,000 and I live in Georgia and not New York or California. So theoretically, someone could live off of my YouTube income, but you shouldn't think of YouTube income like a regular salary. There's another thing that I would like to teach you is because you have to pay taxes and you pay your own healthcare and insurance. You pay your own healthcare, you pay your own insurance, you pay your own taxes, you have to pay into Social Security. So don't think of $40,000 a year as the same as your $40,000 a year salary, because for a self-employed person, it's radically, radically different, which is something nobody teaches, right? So this is why I say it's a career choice and it's a lifestyle choice. If you decide to become a full-time YouTuber, you're going to be making a career choice. Just like when I decided to become a full-time freelancer. When I became a full-time freelancer, it's very similar to being a full-time YouTuber. Everything was on me anymore. So now instead of doing a to-do list when I go into work for my boss, I had to go get the clients and customers myself. The good news is I own the relationship. The other good news is I can't be directly fired and I have more than one source of income at that point, right? Just whatever clients I have. So that's an upside. The downside is, well, you're also responsible for finding clients, keeping clients, insurance, taxes. I had to supply my own resources, my own computer, laptop, internet. So when I decided to do these things, I had to take on all the responsibility. The same thing with YouTube. If you do YouTube as a career, you're not an employee of YouTube. YouTube is not paying you a salary. They're paying you royalty payments, okay? And so that's going to be taxed. That's going to be taxed very differently. YouTube is not paying those taxes for you. YouTube is not protecting you in any type of lawsuits or liabilities. YouTube is not covering your health care and your benefits. YouTube is not setting aside for your retirement or 401k. So again, I don't want content creators to get me wrong. When I say YouTube's not a job, I'm using the specifics that the IRS uses. I'm not devaluing being a content creator. To the contrary, I think if you become a content creator, you're an entrepreneur or you're doing an independent venture, you're self-employed, but that means that you can't think like an employee anymore. If you think like an employee, you're going to get crushed because you're not planning to operate as an independent, and you're going to be held responsible as an independent. So if you're going to be held responsible as an independent, you have to think like an independent. You cannot think like an employee and be a career content creator. I want you to stop calling YouTube a job and call it a career choice. Call it your career. Don't call it your job. Call it your career, because you're not an employee. You're in charge. You're in charge, but you're also responsible. And I want you to take that seriously, because, you know, legally, it's something you have to take seriously. But I digress. My point is, I had to learn this stuff the hard way. Nobody taught me. There was no mentor for me. So like, this is a career choice where I had to learn about paying those taxes. I had to learn about setting aside that money. And you have to earn extra. And the thing is that when I first started YouTube, I joined a multi-channel network when I was a smaller channel with like 14,000 subscribers, and I got locked into a 2-year deal. They didn't really do anything for me, but they took 50% of my revenue after $300, and I wasn't making much. I was only making $300 a month for the first 2-3 years on YouTube, and then anything I made after that, 50% went to the multi-channel network. And back then, YouTube content creators were promoting these multi-channel networks, these MCNs, which this turned out to be a pyramid scheme anyway, for the most part. There's a few that are good, but I wasn't in one of them. I was in one that wasn't good. And ultimately, they end up actually still owing me money to this day. They actually still owe me thousands of dollars to this day. So don't join a multi-channel network, guys, if you can help it. Don't join a multi-channel network unless you absolutely have to for some reason, like you're an overseas creator and you can't do direct deposit with Google, and you have to go through an MCN so they can pay you out via PayPal. There's situations like that for a lot of people. But if you're not in that situation, if you're in the States or in Canada or the UK, just don't join a multi-channel network. They do almost nothing for you. You can all do it yourself with the free content I provided. You can get everything a multi-channel network gives you. So yeah, just keep that in mind, right? So for 3 years, all the way to 100,000 subscribers from 2013 to 2016, my YouTube AdSense wasn't supporting me. I made nothing of real value income-wise off my YouTube AdSense. I made my money through my freelancing gigs and through my affiliate marketing. And then when I started public speaking, I started doing that for money, and I was public speaking. And I moved from doing client services as far as I was a freelance video editor, I was a freelance graphic designer, I was a freelance writer. And then I was able to move to consulting because as my own social media platforms grew, I was able to prove that because my former profession was I was a marketer at a company. So when I left the company, though, I can't really use them as the example of what I could do. Good thing I had been building my personal brand all along. So in building my personal brand, I had a body of work and a resume that allowed me to become a social media manager and consultant for companies that wanted me to handle their social media instead of just do the back end of doing their graphics, their ads, their video editing, and so on and so forth. So I got to be paid for my strategy and my ideas at a much higher value than if I did my creative work or worked on commissions as a freelancer. So then I was making more money, obviously more money than YouTube could pay me at the time. And I was doing really well with affiliate marketing. I was making, about maybe $2,000, $3,000 a month from affiliate marketing in passive income. And then I was hustling on top of that. So it didn't take me long to be able to get to a $100,000 a year income, a 6-figure income. So as someone who was making in my working career, when I worked a 9-to-5, a maximum of like 30 to 40,000 a year once I started doing, working for companies, office work instead of working at the mall or whatever. When I started making that level of income, the idea of literally tripling that income would have never occurred to me, which is part of the thing. When you're an employee, there's a salary cap on how much money you can actually make, no matter how much you get good at something, no matter how talented you become, no matter what value you create for the company, no matter how efficient you work. You will never really be rewarded in proportion to your contribution if you continue the arrangement of an employee, unless you work for one of the best companies in the world and you climb that corporate ladder. And even then, your contributions to the company far outweigh your salary in most cases. So it's a difference in mindset and in values. And it's like, for me, as someone who was approaching 30 at the time, I was like, how much longer in my life am I just going to make other people rich? Like, that's a rough conversation, right? How much, and I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to ever be rich by being a YouTuber or being an entrepreneur. I'm just telling you about my own journey here. And it occurred to me that what I was doing for companies and the way I was making the money, even as a consultant, I was like, I could make this money. I could provide this value. I can do these things for myself. And I can keep all of the value or most of it, because everyone was reselling my ideas and my value or my skills or the things that I produced at 10, 20, sometimes even 100 times what I was being paid for it. So I just decided to cut out the middleman, go to the market, and reap the benefits of my own hard work directly instead of splitting it with a middleman. But it required me to take full responsibility for everything. The same thing when, my YouTube career started to grow. I realized that, okay, I'm being rewarded in proportion to the value that I create for my viewers. And that's what clicked in my head. If I create value for my viewers, I can tie that directly to what's happening for me. And that was like this light bulb moment for me in the way that I approached my content. So how did I grow my channel? Let's get into that a little bit. And then I'll talk a little bit about the money, because I think a lot of you might have questions about the money part. And I definitely want to answer a few of them at the, a little later in the hour here. So I have a hard stop at 12:45 today. So we've got about maybe a good 30 minutes. So I think I can give you some real value here in the show. But again, I do want to remind you about our wonderful sponsor, StreamYard, which actually will let me segue into sponsorships and brand deals if you want to know about that. But StreamYard is sponsoring today's episode of the podcast. They sponsor some of the great content and tutorials over on my YouTube channel. And the best part is you can sign up completely for free and try it for yourself. You don't have to fully take my word for it, but you do have to use my link in the description and in the show notes, or go to robertoblake.com/go/StreamYard. StreamYard is the simplest solution for live streaming. I'm using it right now with a real Sony camera, and I am streaming to Facebook on my Facebook page, a Facebook group, my LinkedIn Live, my YouTube podcast channel, and to Twitter via Periscope. And I'm doing that from one simple solution, easy to use with nothing to download. So make sure you're checking out robertoblake.com/go/StreamYard, or use the link that I've provided. So sponsorships and brand deals. I'll talk a little bit about that first, because that'll be great value for you, especially in the replay if you've been watching this long. And I know it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. YouTube brand deals. I couldn't barely get free YouTube products to review on this channel at 30,000 subscribers, let alone less than 10,000 subscribers. And back in my day, we did everything the hard way. Back in my day, no one was handing out opportunity. You had to hustle for everything. Yeah, like, I love doing my old man Roberto impression there. But the thing is, and yeah, at getting ready to turn 37 years old in June on YouTube, that makes me a senior citizen. Like after this, I have to go ahead and do like a early bird dinner or something, right? Anyway, all joking aside, I couldn't get brand deals. I couldn't even get free product at like 30,000 subscribers, because in those early days, and this wasn't even the early days of YouTube, 2013 was still relatively modern, even though it's like 8 years ago. The thing is, it wasn't even possible at 30,000 subscribers in some cases to get paid brand deals or to get free product. Like, people felt annoyed if you would ask at all. Like, so now at 10,000 or lower, it's absolutely viable. And there's a question. Someone says, is sponsors possible if you have 300 subscribers? In my opinion, if you have 300 subscribers, you shouldn't be worried about sponsorships or brand deals. In my opinion, at 300 subscribers, if you're trying to get sponsorships and brand deals, that's about you. That's not about the audience. That's about you wanting to feel accepted and having the things that big YouTubers have. And this is not by the way, this is not a diss or a condescension to the person who asked that comment. This is a mindset thing. And this is a teachable moment. If you have under 1,000 subscribers, the last thing you should be worried about is how to get brand deals as a small YouTuber. You should be thinking about learning YouTube's system, making better content, and everything you do should be 100% about your audience and your viewers, and about understanding how to be a better content creator for them instead of how to connect with a brand. Connecting with a brand, and I know people want to do it. I know people have their reasons. I know people want this to be a career and they want it to pay them, and sometimes they want stuff to get sponsored. I think that once you have 1,000 subscribers, if you want to reach out for free products, 1,000 subscribers or lower, if you want to reach out for free products to review, to be able to make better content, I think that that's totally valid because that's still about your audience at the end of the day. But under 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers, I don't really believe in pursuing it, not because you can't. It's different if brands approach you or if an opportunity presents itself, or if your niche is really small. And that would represent a very large number of subscribers in your niche, then that's fine. That's a different situation. But here's my thought on it. All the way up to 10,000 subscribers, I think that you should be very much focused on the growth of your community, the support of your community, and really making massive value happen for every viewer of your channel and building out your brand. Because I think that puts you in a better position to negotiate later. Because the thing is, the earlier you take money, like the lower you're going to value yourself going forward, because you're going to start having imposter syndrome, and in your own head, it's harder to climb the value ladder the earlier you cash out. The earlier you cash out, it's harder to climb the value ladder later, because you also negotiate from a place where you have almost no confidence. So there's a question here from my financial friend in the live chat. By the way, guys, you have to subscribe with the notification bell if you want to know when I'm going live. And if you're watching in any of the other platforms, you need to follow me with notifications turned on so you know when the podcast is live. But my financial friend says, Roberto, if you have a large following, do you suggest charging 10% of your average views for a sponsored 30 seconds, i.e. if you get 30K views, charge 3K? So great question. I don't tie the value of access to me to how many views I provide. I learned a lot in my time as a marketer that informs my mentality as a content creator. I also think that for a lot of you, if you have worked another job, or even if you work another job part-time, it could actually make you a better content creator. A lot of people want to go full-time, but actually either running a business or having another job or working in the industry will make you a better content creator in many cases. Take my marketing background. So I know that a company can just buy ads. That's the value of access to an audience. But to buy ads, you'd have to pay someone to make the ad. And the person you pay to make the ad, you don't care if they have an audience. You don't care how many views the person making your ad gets in. If you want somebody to be the face, the model, the right guy or gal with the right look and the charming smile and the pretty face, or whatever it is you need, you have to pay a model. And you pay multiple models and actors and actresses, and even if they end up being edited out of the video, they would get paid. And do you guys know the going day rate for being an actor, actress, or a model that gets to be in a commercial? See, my best friend Malcolm, I used to do his photography and headshots. I also used to help him film his audition tapes. And so I know about that industry. Also, my youngest sister does some extra work and modeling and stuff like that. And so does one of my friends. My friend Celia, she does some extra work and modeling and acting as well. So I know about the day rates of just being the face of something. And even if they don't use you, you still get compensated. And if you get compensated, in a lot of these cases, you also get royalty checks afterward if they keep re-airing the commercial or the ad or the thing that you're in, or if they run it through another cycle, you get a royalty check. So you still make money after the one-time usage of your likeness just for being in that. And guess what? You don't have to have a following to go to an audition and get hired to be the face of an ad, you see. So when an influencer prices themselves, you know, based on their views, they're neglecting that they're a model at that point. They're a model and they're a spokesperson, but you're going to price yourself on your views. You're a video producer, a video editor, probably also a photographer, but you're going to price yourself on views. So you price yourself on creative work, because if they bought an ad from an ad agency, everybody who works on that project will get paid a service fee. And that has nothing to do with how many views the ad gets when you hire an agency. One of the bonuses of hiring influencers is because influencers will sit there and they'll look at their view count, they'll look at their follower count, they'll look at their subscribers, and then they'll charge you pennies when you would have paid an ad agency $30,000 for the same thing without even buying access to an audience yet. So think about it. Like, no one considers any of that. People don't price themselves based on the quality of their work as a producer of content, the licensing and usage fees for their likeness, and then the value of their reputation, and then the access to their audience is last. Because even if they did this for their channel instead of your channel, your reputation is worth something. You making and editing and filming the content is worth something. And then, because that's your time and it's your content and it's your ideas, your scripting, your writing, your color grading, all of that. And then again, it's your face, it's your reputation, it's your weight behind the brand. No one ever considers that. Consider how much, before you think about your views and your subscribers, think about this. What would you charge them to make this for their channel? Start there in your head. Start with instead of thinking what's the value of my channel, think about how you would charge them if this thing was going to air on their channel first. Like, don't even think about the access to your audience. Think about, what if I made the video I'm going to make them for their YouTube channel, for their Instagram, for their social media? What would I charge them then? Because that's going to stop you from underbidding. That's going to stop you from underpricing yourself, because you will think of your value differently. You will think of your value in terms of your reputation and what your word is worth and what making your content is worth and what your value as a creator actually is, instead of believing all of your power is wrapped up in the size of your audience. And that mentality is the difference between me and other YouTubers and content creators. And I don't say that egotistically. I'm saying because I'm 37. I lived almost longer in a world where social media didn't exist than I lived in a world where social media exists. So that changes my mentality from everybody else. Some for good and some for bad, because the people who are true social media natives, I am a digital native. The next generation, the Mr. Beast of the world, these kids are social natives. I'm a digital native. And there's a little bit of a nuance or a difference there. I grew up in digital, and I value the technology, and I value the tools and the creativity and the scale of the internet and that kind of thing. They grew up valuing the access to an audience and the feedback loop of having an audience, and they feel empowered by that. So the thing is, someone of the generation that's 10 years younger than me, or even 20 years younger than me, so like everybody that's between 17 and 25 and younger, right? Those people, those creators value social media and the platforms themselves. Me, I'm of a generation that values the internet as a whole and the technology at the base of it, you know? So think of it like that. Or for the rest of, or for some of you who are like super savvy, it's the difference between somebody who's super into Bitcoin versus someone who's super into blockchain. Like modern content creators would be more into like Bitcoin or altcoins or crypto versus somebody that might be into blockchain per se, right? So kids today care about social media. I care about technology. That's the difference. You know, now I don't say that condescendingly. I say that's a difference in my mentality. So don't think your power comes from your audience. Your attention, your awareness, your scale comes from your audience. Okay? But the value is the content itself, because without the content, there is no audience. Without the content, nothing else happens. Without the content, nothing else happens. So think about that. Think about that. You know, the content is the thing that gave you everything else. The content brought the audience. The content created the brand. You see, that's why I believe more in being a content creator than I do believe in being a YouTuber. I even believe in a philosophy of being platform agnostic. People think that my YouTube channel built my business, awesomecreatoracademy.com. It was my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram that built awesomecreatoracademy.com. It was Blab that built awesomecreatoracademy.com. Blab doesn't even exist as a platform anymore. Clubhouse is probably the next evolution technically of Blab, to be honest with you. And I'm actually getting business from Blab without even trying at this point. When I do show up in did I say Blab again? I meant Clubhouse. I'm getting business from Clubhouse when I show up in Clubhouse, like without even trying at this point, just by giving away free value. And that's how I built my business too. I built my business by giving away free value, and not just on YouTube. It was my Facebook Lives. A lot of you are saying, wow, this is a masterclass right now in this podcast episode, in the live audience right now. I used to do this on Facebook in the early days of Facebook Live every single day. That's why I say, yeah, I've made 1,500 YouTube videos, but I've done over 3,000 live streams across multiple platforms, because the day that Facebook Live came out, I was streaming on Facebook Live every single day from my phone, or then when it went for desktop, I was doing it from my desktop. When Blab came out, I was on Blab every day on top of being in Facebook Live every day. When Instagram Live, I was on Instagram Live every single day. So like I, over the course of many years, have done thousands of live streams because I was a daily live streamer. I just wasn't on Twitch or YouTube every day. That's the difference. I grew my YouTube channel. I'll talk about that here in the back half, and then we'll start to wind things down. But the thing that I want to help you understand, whether it's with brand deals or with your psychology, is to not let your numbers dictate your self-esteem, your self-worth, or the value of what you do, or the value of how you price, or the value of what your brand is. You need to base your value both in the market and psychologically based on your skills and your abilities, and then also on your resources. Like, you really need to do that, because in the real world, no one cares how many followers you have in the real world, for real. They care about your skill set. They care about what you can produce. And what you produced is what led you to gain those following. So you guys are kind of putting you're not valuing the foundation, you're valuing the aftermath. You know, you're valuing the aftermath. And the thing is, the root of what generated that, the core of what generated that, is the thing that's actually legitimately valuable. You know? So psychologically, people get undermined by their views, their view to subscriber ratio, their growth rates, you know, any of those things, which means they're not in control emotionally of their state of mind. And when you're not in control emotionally of your state of mind, it's like massively important for you to understand what's happening. So if your mood is being affected by how many views you did or didn't get, or what's going on in YouTube, you're not in control of anything at that point. You're not in control of yourself. So you need to make the foundation of your self-esteem, in my opinion, be more about your process, more about, how you move intentionally, the relationships you have, the value that you create, how people who do watch your content feel about it. You need to be emotionally divested from your numbers as a content creator. You need to be emotionally divested from that. And then you need to emotionally go all in on, you need to emotionally go all in on the process and the love you have of what you're doing and your craft. You need to become much more about your craftsmanship. You need to become much more about the obsession of learning your camera, the obsession of learning audio, the obsession of learning how to live stream. You need to get into the details of your craft and your skills and ability, because platforms go away, jobs go away, clients go away, sponsors go away, viewers go away. Your skills remain. Your skills remain. Your body of work remains if you do it right. Your abilities remain. Same thing with a 9-to-5 job. I learned to not tie my identity anymore to my job title when I was working a 9-to-5 job, because I'm like, I can be fired. I've been fired before. I could end up quit. The industry could go over. You can get laid off. You don't have control over those things. Why become emotionally invested in things over which you are no longer in control? Same thing with YouTube, same thing with these algorithms, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Let's move forward. Let's move forward to that. Let's move forward to my journey a little bit. Timeline. How long till I got my first 10,000 subscribers? I started doing regular weekly content in July of 2013. Did I make my YouTube account in 2009? Yes. I would never be dying to call myself a YouTuber or a content creator at that point, because I uploaded 4 times a year, and not because I made any cinematic masterpieces, but because I was using YouTube to just host videos at the time. I had no idea what being a YouTuber would even look like. I didn't care about it. Not at all. Wasn't even thinking about it. I didn't think about building an audience, and the 4 years of not uploading content reflects that. So my content career started in July of 2013 and not a minute before, because I was not making a commitment to an audience. So if you aren't making a commitment, then it doesn't count. Not in my opinion. That's just how I am about it. You may feel differently. So I made a commitment in July of 2013. So I count from there. It was 11 months for me to get 10,000 subscribers. And in that period of time, I uploaded 47 videos. So I almost didn't miss a whole week in that entire time period. Okay. So that was strong. That's how I did it. And then I kept that going to 2014, so 2014, and then 2015, February of 2015, I had 20,000 subscribers. I remember this very clearly. In 2015 of February, I had 20,000 subscribers. And by the end of 2015, I had 75,000 subscribers. Back then, that's what if I had known any better back then, I would have made a video about how I blew up my YouTube channel, how I got 50,000 new subscribers in a year, if I had only known back then. But I didn't make any kind of serious YouTube help content back then either. I was just answering a few questions once a week from my audience, because I went daily. I went to daily content. I was doing graphic design on Mondays, tech on Tuesdays, camera gear stuff on Wednesdays, tutorials on Thursdays, then YouTube tips on Fridays. And then on the weekends, I was doing weird stuff like unboxings or reviewing whatever television show or movie I was watching. So I was doing daily content. I went from doing weekly content to doing daily content. And what happened was, that didn't I automatically blew up my YouTube channel. Most of the videos never got that many views, to be honest. But it was a cumulative effect, because the videos that I was making that were evergreen and valuable, I had a lot of them. So what happened was, it meant that in a year, I ended up with 30, 40 really good videos that could help people with graphic design. I ended up with 30, 40 videos that were really good for tech, for buying stuff, for laptop reviews, for budget gear. It meant that I had a lot of really good advice about cheap budget cameras at the time, and then a few cameras I got to borrow that were more professional, lenses, things like that. It meant that new content creators who didn't even have 1,000 subscribers had somebody to look to that had tens of thousands of subscribers that was giving advice that actually made sense for them. So I ended up making dozens of videos in that year of daily, content. I ended up making dozens of videos across 3, 4, or 5 things that were really, really helpful and in demand and could be searched. And that's why by 2016, after 3 years of doing content, I got 100,000 subscribers and I got my silver play button. That's how I got my silver play button. Is I ended up making hundreds of pieces of useful content that would bring people to me. And then, even though they wouldn't watch every video because every video was different, there were enough videos that made up a good amount of playlist that they could watch the 20 or 30 videos that matter to them. And that's why my view to subscriber ratios don't look good on my main YouTube channel. My main YouTube channel's view to subscriber ratios don't look like what someone thinks a successful YouTuber is. But my YouTube channel, because of $40,000 in ad revenue a year, about 100,000 now, usually it was like more like 75 or 80, but now it's 100,000 in affiliate marketing revenue. Affiliate marketing revenue is significant. And then I have brand deals on top of it through my various sponsors. And I choose to do like recurring brand deals. And while I can't tell you the exact amount that I make from brand deals, it's not unreasonable to imagine that during different years, different scenarios, and I think I have this over in my YouTube income reports, there are years where it's been 50,000 in brand deals. I think maybe for this last year, it's probably closer to like 60, 70, 80. Like for 2021, I'm fairly certain that based on deals that are in place now, it'll be $100,000 plus, if not more, in brand deals for the year. And I don't say any of that as a humble brag. I say that to make it realistic for you and understand that when you put things in place, when you build a career, when you treat this like a career and not a hobby, when you treat this like a career and not a paid hobby, or, oh, YouTube is my job. When you take responsibility, you treat it like a career, you treat it like a business, you treat it like an entrepreneurship venture, you can put things in play and you can make moves that can be significant, for you. So, you know, you can crush it. You can absolutely crush it. You know, to give you an idea, I think in, what was it, 2019, like, I can tell you 2019, I think, the real numbers for like 2019, the real number for 2019 was something like, God, what was it? 220K, something like, somewhere between like 2019, I don't even remember now. 2019 was like somewhere between 200,000 and $250,000. I can tell you that much. 2016 was something like 110K, 120K, something like that. Like, the numbers are, I'd have to look at the numbers hard to be exact. Okay. But I'm saying that to give you an idea of what's possible without being famous, without being a million subscribed channel, without going viral. I've never in 1,500 videos had a viral video. Not one. I had some videos that did very well for me that blew up. You could argue that for my size, maybe you could consider them viral, but people are very protective of the word viral. If something doesn't get 1 million views in less than like 2 weeks or something like that, or a week, most people don't want to call that a viral video. But I think depending on your size and the norm for your situation, I think it's fair to call it viral because it's spread disproportionately or exponentially. So if you were like at, 50,000 subscribers and you got a 500K video, I would say your video went viral for you. Like that's just what I believe personally. But people are very protective of what they want to call a viral video. And that's whatever. I don't really care because I'm not from that generation and I just frankly don't give a damn. So the long and short of it is I did the very unsexy version of growing a YouTube channel. I did it with Evergreen, very valuable, very useful content in the education space around creativity, business, and technology. I talked about things I know. I didn't get very narrow or very specific or focus on just one thing, even though it's a really good idea, especially today. I didn't necessarily do everything right or do everything perfect. I did everything in such a way that would fit my lifestyle, fit my income goals, and play to my strengths. And that's really what my advice for a lot of you comes down to. I don't think you need to make daily content. I got pretty far on making content once a week, and a lot of you could do the same. And a lot of you, it could be better. It might be a situation where because you're spending more time on it, maybe it performs better. That's just not what was suited to me and suited to my personality type, suited to my lifestyle, suited to my skill set, and to my goals and my value systems. So what I looked at was what would make YouTube right size in my life. And what I did was I never spent 40 hours a week, except for like on rare occasions. Like I never spent 40 hours a week just doing YouTube. I was building my brand in other social media platforms, because if I went all in YouTube, it's just another job that I could end up at the mercy of if I did it that way, if I didn't treat it like a tool, if I didn't treat YouTube like a platform. I could have made YouTube a job, but I decided to use it as a platform to help me grow my career. And that's my advice to all of you, is to treat it as a career and treat it as a tool and treat it as a platform. I made a choice to not romanticize YouTube. I did not decide that YouTube is my dream, or YouTube is my dream job, or all I want is to be a YouTuber. And I'm not making fun of people per se who do that, because that is just the way a younger generation is. It's what my generation looked at movie stars, radio stars, TV gods and rock stars. It's what my generation idolized those people. Me, not so much. I idolized Stan Lee and Steven Spielberg back then. But I was the weird kid too, so that's why. So it's different. I understand that generationally and culturally, if you're somebody who's under 25, you grew up on YouTube, you worshiped YouTubers as a kid and you always wanted to be one. I get it. But you never knew the reality of YouTube, because there was never anyone like me to tell you the reality of YouTube, and that it's not what you imagine it to be. It is a tool. It is a platform. It is also a community, and it's also a career if you want it to be. But you have to make some decisions about how you're going to honor a commitment that you make to an audience, how you play within the rules of the platform, and how you navigate the industry in order to set yourself up for some control, some financial freedom, some autonomy. Myself and Daniel Patel, who's in the chat right now, me and Daniel Patel did a live stream on my main YouTube channel on Sunday, where we actually talked about all the economics and all the YouTube business stuff and everything you could possibly want to know about YouTube money. We went into details about brands and negotiations and contracts. We talked about taxes. We talked about ad revenue. We talked about e-commerce, affiliate. We talked about everything. We talked real numbers. I showed a lot of my numbers very transparently. I'm very transparent about this stuff. There's a lot of value in that live stream. It is about 3 or 4 hours. So you'll want to grab a notepad, a snack, a drink, maybe a whole meal. Bring the whole plate. Yeah, if you go watch that live stream, just bring the whole plate. But yeah, so I did that. And I think it was super valuable. And I think that you could benefit a lot from it. But yeah, so, I mean, those are kind of my main thoughts on my YouTube journey. I built it into a career. I built it into a way to grow other platforms. I built it into a successful brand and business for myself, and it continues to grow. I'm not someone who's shooting for 1 million subscribers right now. My actual goal, if I have one for YouTube, is to be much more consistent about uploading 2 to 3 videos a week. I'd really love to upload 3 videos a week on my main channel. And I think that is where my real goal is. And I believe that if I can upload 3 videos a week, that I can move my average views from like being 400,000 a month to 1 million a month. And that would be my goal, because it will help me accomplish everything else that I want to do faster if I get my total channel views to 1 million a month. I don't need every video to kill it to accomplish that. But by doing 3 videos or more a week, that are also videos that I know my audience wants to watch, I know I'll be able to accomplish that. And then by doing videos that I really want to do that wouldn't necessarily do well on the main channel, I'm starting to understand that a little bit better. I have my More Roberto Blake channel, which was meant to be the clips from this podcast, but now it's just me posting whatever I care about, which is really freeing. I needed that, and I think a lot of people should do that. Make a second channel to make whatever you want, and make a channel that's a vehicle for your career. Have a career channel and have a hobby channel. See, that's the way I'm doing it. I have a career channel and I have a hobby channel, and then I have some other channels that are also going to set up things for my business, like, the gear channel's coming soon. The personal finance channel, Real Talk with Roberto, it's there. I just need to make content for it. I had to change my strategy because of COVID, because I was doing it in person, and then I couldn't do it all of last year because of COVID after February. So that kind of like killed that idea, but I'm going to change the format and bring back the channel. So, you adjust, you pivot, you adapt to YouTube, you adapt to the world, you adapt to things like the pandemic, you adapt where you need to. And that's what will make you successful, is your ability to adapt over time and your ability to double down on what is working. But again, I think creatively, if you feel stuck and you don't like the idea of niching down, make a career channel that is focused and then make a hobby channel. And that sounds like a lot of work and effort, but in real life, you do things that way anyway. In real life, you don't bring your personality to your day job, probably. You save it for your nights and weekends and when you go home and when you're out with your friends and so on and so forth. So that's the way it would work. I'm going to take some questions now. So for those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, thank you so much for being a part of the community, but also you might want to try to tune in the mornings, Wednesday or Thursday mornings when I go live, and then you can be part of that chat. So to the podcast listening audience, you'll want to go to youtube.com/CSAT, as in Create Something Awesome Today podcast, or just type in Create Something Awesome Today podcast into YouTube search. And you'll want to check that out, because then you'll get to watch the pre-show and you'll get to watch the post-show and the Q&A. So to the podcast listeners, thank you so much for listening. Go out there and create something awesome today. To the live audience, stay tuned.
This episode has ended, but your creative journey continues. Visit createsomethingawesometoday.com and access all links and resources mentioned in today's show, all designed to help you create something awesome today.
All right, so I did the clap for the editor, whoever's editing that, whether it's me or somebody else. So now I can do just brief Q&A. It's only going to be very brief because I have to run. I have a 1 o'clock appointment, but I'll just answer some questions real quick. So Frederico, thank you, ask, Roberto, how's your business been impacted by the pandemic? It pains me to say this in a way because it's not everyone else's situation, but my business thrived in the pandemic because of the shift in the priorities people had with working from home. My business, my content, and the things I could talk about became much more valuable to people. And because my audience is older, more affluent, and in the tech and creator space and in the online business and e-commerce world, the reality is a lot of my clients, except for people in hospitality and things of that nature, and some people I know in sports, the reality is most of my customer base was not affected by the pandemic, but unfortunately there are a lot of people in my audience, my community, even in my own family who were. So my business ultimately did thrive during the pandemic, but I didn't because of my mental health being affected. So the thing is, my business could have doubled during the pandemic, but it didn't double, just so we're all clear, because I wasn't able to handle putting out more content and doing more things because of my own mental health during the pandemic suffered greatly. And so that's what happened. But if I had been able to hustle during the pandemic, I can confidently say my business would have doubled because I was perfectly positioned for the shift in the market when the pandemic happened. But I didn't take full advantage of that because I put my mental health first, and I'm glad that I did. So thanks for that question. LouTube says, that last video you put out on social media was dope, dude. Thank you, LouTube. Thank you. Aaron Barton says hello from lunch break. Hello, Aaron. Yep. Daniel says someone was kind enough to put the timestamp menu in the comments of the live stream. Yeah, somebody took care of that for us. Someone was an angel, so I pinned their comment and took care of that. Yeah. The Picano says, when will Clubhouse become open to the public? I've heard quite a few people talk about it. I'm still not entirely sure what the purpose of it is and why there's so much buzz about it. So Clubhouse is an invite-only, mobile, audio-only, audio-first app, and it's what it sounds like. It's like a Clubhouse. It's like a private or secret club or secret society in a way, and it's invite-only. So that's the cool thing right now. I think that it won't be open to the public for quite a bit because I think part of the novelty of it right now and the reason that the access to top tier people is there is because of the fact that it's invite only and it's a secret society. It's the secret society of social media is Clubhouse. It's kind of like Fight Club at this point. Like, first rule of Clubhouse is you don't talk about Clubhouse. The other thing is it's not content in a way. It's like a conference, but there's no replay, there's no recordings. It's actually against terms of service. Now, there are people who, if they go into a room where there's a celebrity, they are setting them up. They are recording it, setting them up, asking questions. And I think that that's completely rude and uncalled for. And I think it makes the platform very toxic. And so I don't like gotcha people, but that's also part of why I guess it's invite only right now. So they're going to figure that out at some point. But Clubhouse is really dope and there's a ton of value in it. And right now, Clubhouse is only iOS only, so that's also making it inaccessible to people. It's iOS only, Apple only. Richard says, thank you for all the amazing free content. It has helped me out tremendously. Appreciate what you do, so keep it up. Thank you. Yeah, the free content is amazing. I call the free content level 0. And while we're expanding level 0, I also want to clean up level 0. I want to make a few more level 0 resources, but I need to start making more level 1, level 2, and level 3 resources because level 0, I want to make the best content when it comes to level 0, the best resources when it comes to level 0, because I want to change the goalpost and set the standard for people who do paid content. I want my free content to be valuable enough to force people to step up the game with their paid content, and me as well. But I want to set the standard. I want to be the market leader when it comes to this type of content and this type of education resources. I want to be the market leader. I want to set the standard. I want to set the bar. I want to be the gold star standard. And there's some work I need to do to make that happen with some of the free resources and some streamlining, but I think we'll get there. There will be a free YouTube course coming out this year, and there will be a paid YouTube course coming out this year. So those are the things that I'm working on. I'm thinking of skipping ahead to my more expensive YouTube course because my more expensive YouTube course is on YouTube Money and being a career content creator, like what it's like to be a full-time content creator versus the master of the platform. But I've been rethinking that. So I don't know what the scheduling will be because the thing is I'm putting out a book around YouTube Money later this year. It'd be nice to put out the book around YouTube Money and then put out the course around YouTube Money. But I think what's going to happen is I'm going to put out the book around YouTube Money. The YouTube Basics course will be available for free well before that. And then I think the YouTube Mastery course to help you actually grow as a content creator will be coming out. So I think I'll have to put it in the order. I think I will have to put it in the order that I actually lived it, which is YouTube Basics, YouTube Mastery, and then YouTube Money as far as the courses. But the books are going to go differently. The books are probably going to go YouTube Money, YouTube Basics, and YouTube Mastery, just because I think that's the only way I can address the active market the way that it is. You know what I mean? So I think weirdly, I'll have to put the book out that's high level first, put the course out that's level 0, and kind of reverse it in that way. So, that's the thing. Rose Rocket says, I have a question about niching down. If you have a question about niching down, what I recommend is watching my video about niching down. Like it's going to be much better than an answer I can give you here in the podcast. Just watch the video on how to beat the YouTube algorithm by niching down. Like how to niche down and beat the YouTube algorithm is a video on my main YouTube channel. And so if you have a question about niching down, that's the video to watch. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Stay awesome. I've got to run, but it's been a blast. And make sure you're checking out some of the audio stuff. I know I'm behind on the audio podcast uploads, but we'll get the back catalog sorted from the YouTube channel and get those episodes out. So just stay tuned for that. One last question, Roberto, where do we pre-order for the books? We want to support you. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I will make announcements and things of that nature. Being on notifications for the channel, joining my email list, robertoblake.com/newsletter is my email list. That's a good way to stay informed, and having notifications on for all my channels is a good way to stay informed. If you guys want to support anything right now, please check out my music channel right now, which is Zenbuster Music on YouTube. We don't have a channel URL yet because the channel's not old enough to qualify for one. But if you go to, actually what I'll do is actually here in the chat, I'll just link you guys to our latest video, our latest mixtape. So in the chat, I've just posted that in the live chat. I'll probably put it in the show notes as well. But if you want to support right now, you can type Roberto Blake in Apple Music or in Spotify. And if you follow and listen to and stream my music, eventually I'll start getting royalty payments for the music. And if you go to the YouTube channel Zenbuster Music, it's a not royalty free. It's a copyright free. Need to say that right. It's a copyright free for streamers music source, and it's just fun to listen to. It's dope, lo-fi. It's great for when you have stress or anxiety, you want to study, you want to sleep, you want to relax. So make sure you're checking out Zenbuster Music on YouTube. And like I said, if you just put my name, Roberto Blake, into Apple or Spotify for the music side, you'll be able to listen to all of the music that you would like for free. We're putting more out. If you want to purchase any music, that's also great. It supports. So, and we made it as cheap as possible too on that side. So anything you guys want to do to support, I'm happy to have the support, and we make a lot of it free. If any of you want to work with me on your YouTube stuff or on your business, we cover business, affiliate marketing, e-commerce, all the things, internet, go to awesomecreatoracademy.com. And that's my coaching business, awesomecreatoracademy.com. Other than that, enjoy the free content, enjoy the free podcast, enjoy the free live streams, enjoy the free music, enjoy all the freebies. But there's also paid stuff too. So there's that. Anyway, I've got to run. Stay awesome. I will catch you guys on the next one. Also, probably a video today on the new YouTube, on the main YouTube channel. There will be a video today on the main YouTube channel. There'll probably be a video on the more Roberto Blake channel. Just be subscribed and notified everywhere. All right, I'm out.